We're going to go ahead and get started and get going with class so we can be conscientious of everyone's time. It's actually working. Okay. Few announcements, kind of things that keep you in touch with everything in class. Just go ahead, no laptops, no cell phones, all that stuff can go ahead and be put away. We've got some guest speakers today, so I'd love for you to give them your full and undivided attention. Historically, this is always a very popular class because it's pretty candid and usually also a little entertaining. Okay, just a few reminders about our class schedule for the next couple weeks so that you can kind of remember we've hit that couple in class, out of class kind of schedule now. So, I missed you on Fridays. I hope you guys had your Good Fridays off. But we have class this Friday and we have class next Friday. So obviously, today's class is, we have some alumni here to talk to you about their experiences. They're going to talk for a little bit, then they're going to open it up for Q&A. This is again one of those times where I will lob questions at them if you all don't take advantage of asking them questions. But they have all different backgrounds, so it's good to talk to them about their experiences. Next week, you have this career fair on Thursday. As a reminder, transportation is provided from the red statue. There's a big banner out there. All that stuff is out there to remind you every day that you have to do that. The career fair runs from 9:30 to 1:30. You need to dress minimally in business casual. So that means no jeans, no t-shirts, no hoodies, no sweatshirts, no hats, no tennis shoes. All right? So guys, you're talking, yes. Like if you did the Center for Free Enterprise talk, no, as long as you filled out the paperwork for them at the event. Yeah, they send me a list. If you filled out their paperwork, they send me a list. All right, and I'll get to that in a second because I did have the event this week. So anyway, attire for the career fair, gentlemen, you're looking at dress pants and a minimum of polo or a button-up. You are welcome to go full business attire if you would like to. You are not required to, but minimally dress pants and a nice shirt. Ladies, dress pants or a dress or a skirt with the appropriate top. Like I said, no hats, no jeans, no t-shirts, no hoodies, no tennis shoes, and no flip-flops. So please dress accordingly for that because these are people who may be hiring you for internships one day, and you want to make sure you are dressed accordingly. Please put your cell phone away. Thank you. Yes. What? You were supposed to notify me that by August 31st if you had a conflict. So that would be a missed assignment if you did not do that. That is in the syllabus and clearly stated and discussed the first 2 weeks of class. That is why you have the 4 out of 5 assignment options that you were given at the beginning of class, so that if you had schedule conflicts, that you could make accommodations for that. Yes. You do not have to go for the entire 9:30 to 1:30. Absolutely. No, I do expect you to go over there and spend probably the better part of 45 minutes or an hour because you're not going to have any meaningful conversations or be working on those initial networking opportunities if you don't go over there. But if you go over there and peace out in 15 minutes, you will not have been able to complete the assignment. There is an assignment. Go to assignments. Look at all that. You will not have been able to complete that. So make sure you go to the assignments tab, pull up the assignment that goes with going to the career fair so that you can make sure you get credit for everything while you are there. Many people in this room eventually want to do an internship. You may even have some companies or organizations you would like to intern for. This is the time to start having those conversations. Take your resume, make a business card, have a conversation. You can ask, there's even a cheat sheet of, if you don't even know what to ask people, I have provided a sheet of sample type questions that you can ask. Many of you would probably like to intern for a company, and you may not have the qualifications to do that right now as a first year in college, but this is the time to say, in 2 years, in my junior year, I would like to come intern for you. What would you like to see in an ideal candidate in 2 years? And if they say, well, I'd really like to see a lot more computer information operations, that tells you right away, okay, I need to make sure I take my CIS classes very seriously, and maybe I need to take some additional CIS coursework than what's just required for my major, unless you're a CIS major. They may say, well, we really like students to get some foundation experience in customer service. So, okay, that's great. This summer I'm going to go home and work for somebody's insurance company or a mom and pop business in my hometown, but I'm going to try to get the front desk job so that I have to deal with that initial greeting, customer service, answering the phones, those kind of things. These are the times where you can start. I mean, basically, this is like giving you the cheat sheet on how to get the internship that you may want in a few years. So take advantage of this. This is a time to have some really good conversations so you can kind of prepare yourself for the next few years. Cell phones down. All right. They did have the Center for Free Enterprise event on Wednesday. I know we had the electrical issue, the transformer blew at 3rd and Oak. That's why we had no power. But they did still hold the event. They held it up in room 336. Maybe some of you went. I haven't gotten the list yet from the Center for Free Enterprise. But if you did not, we still have one more Center for Free Enterprise event on Thursday, November 8th. So if you were planning on using this one, just know that there's one more out there, okay? The only way I will give you an exception on that, and I would give you an alternate assignment, not an exception. You would get an alternate assignment, is if you can clearly show me that you have class during that entire time. So please make sure you're kind of paying attention to that, because if you come to me in December and say, well, why did I get marked down on a grade? And I'm going to say, well, you didn't go to you only did 3 assignments. Oh, well, I was going to go to the Center for Free Enterprise, and that was that day we had the power outage. I'm sorry, this is me telling you that if you have a class conflict during that Thursday session of it, I will provide you with an alternate assignment. It is not a excused assignment. Yes. It's, I think every day, I think they always start at 4:30. I think they go roughly 4:30 to 5:30. And then a little longer if the Q&A is robust. Any other questions about the Center for Free Enterprise since we have a little snafu? Thursday, November 8th. It is the only assignment that you can turn in after November 2nd. And that is all in your syllabus. It is all on Blackboard. And it is all, there is a separate, literally a separate thing under assignments for Center for Free Enterprise with all this information. This should not be a surprise. This all information has been out there since the beginning of the semester. There is one assignment on the Blackboard that we are not going to do. It is the alumni meet and greets. Some of you have asked me about that. We are not going to do that. I had a good number, but I just didn't have, I wanted these to be really small groups, like 4 to 5 groups, 4 to 5 people per group. I didn't get enough alumni to make those small groups, and we're just going to not worry about that one. Probably many of you are going like, what is she talking about? Because you didn't even realize that was on there, but it was as an assignment. That one is now off the table, so you don't have to worry about that one. So, also for the career fair, I was speaking to the GA from the MBA office, and he said on Tuesday they will have pamphlets out there. They're about this thick. With information about all the employers who will be there. So if you want to pick one up, I will also try to get a PDF version if you're a sustainability person and don't want to print up, a whole bunch of this kind of stuff. I will try to get a PDF version and put that out on Blackboard for you all, so that if you want to kind of go through that, and that way when you're there, if you don't want to feel like, and they will have a layout, like a map of where everybody's going to be. So if you want to target specific industries or corporations or businesses versus doing like the random like college career, it will be like a college career fair if you went to those where you're kind of in the large room and you're just kind of randomly going between all the tables. So I will get that information out to you so you can actually make a little more of a strategic plan while you are there. All right? Any questions about career fair? Any questions about assignments due? Just as a quick reminder, everything is under the assignments tab. You click on the assignment and you have to upload into that. If you have a certificate or something like that, that means you have to download that to your computer, then upload that into Blackboard. I'm getting a lot of questions about doing the assignments, even though we've talked about that a lot in class. So, all right. Okay. So today we've got 3 alumni who are here to talk to you about their experiences at the University of Louisville. They are planning to talk about the do's and don'ts, things they've learned. They've all been out for quite a few years, which is hard to believe. Yeah. That's okay. I've been out a lot longer. So, but they have a lot of experiences between them that they can talk about from their undergraduates and into their professional careers with graduate school and all that kind of stuff. They're going to talk a little bit about do's and don'ts, and they are going to open up for Q&A. This is a really great time to get candid information. So let me introduce Ben Donlin, Nick Jackson, and Chirag Bamani. So.
Yeah, yeah, I was thinking because we used to do this a while ago, and they used to call it like the young alumni, and I guess they've removed that, and that makes me feel really good about myself. But yeah, we'll just switch back. Yeah, so my name is Ben Donlin. So kind of what I want to do first is kind of figure out like what's in the room and who's in the room. And then we'll kind of go into a little bit of an extended introduction and then get into the question and answers from that. So how many of you all, so talking about majors, so how many of you all either think or are CIS? All right, marketing, accounting, finance, what am I missing? Economics. Equine. You have absolutely no clue.
He's certain.
Anything else that I missed that anybody wants to call out? Okay, so we're going to be quiet. Okay. How many of you are from Louisville? How many of you are not from Louisville? How many of you didn't raise your hand? Okay. Is there anybody how many of you are outside of Kentucky? Okay, so a decent amount. Okay, cool. So that just kind of gives us a sense. So it's pretty much equally balanced. We all have different backgrounds, different experiences, but we want to make sure that we're not just focused on one subject area or one topic. So like I said earlier, my name is Ben Donlin. I graduated from the University of Louisville undergrad in 2012, so that's like a long time ago. So I my major was in actuary and math, so I actually was outside of the College of Business. I did have a minor in finance. I'm a fraud, apparently. Then I went into computer engineering and then got my MBA and graduated in 2016, all from the University of Louisville. I'm a diehard Cards fan, which is the right way. I'm originally from Danville, Kentucky. Anybody from there? Okay. Kinda? What does kinda mean? All right, that counts. That's not that far away. But yeah, so my background, went to Boyle County High School, played sports, did that whole thing. Ended up coming to the University of Louisville in 2008. I don't want to know in context of when you were born. I ended up starting off with biochemistry, went to biochem to math. From that jump, I did do actuary math. Does anybody actually know what that is? Anybody thinking about doing that? There's always like one or two. So it is in the math department in arts and science. It's not fun, but definitely worth it. But I did always kind of have a passion for business, specifically finance. That's what I grew up around. So definitely want to do that long term. Right now I work for Metro United Way, which is a large nonprofit located here in Louisville. I'm our chief analytics officer. So what I basically do, play with numbers all day. But essentially what my job is to do is, if you're familiar with nonprofits, you know that there is a amount of donors, volunteers that kind of contribute, but there's also a distribution of funds. All of those are equally important, and no one is more important than the other. Everything is needed to change the community. But really what I'm doing is trying to figure out how to get in touch with donors better, to be able to connect them to their passions through analytics, through numbers, through information. So best example, you know how when you get on Amazon and they tell you what you want before you actually even knew that you wanted that? That's what we're trying to get to. It's kind of a new field, it's a new department, new position, and I've been in it about 6 months. I actually started at United Way. I've been there for about 5 years. I graduated from undergrad and went straight into working at United Way, and have been there ever since. I have a couple kind of startup business on the side, mainly focused in artificial intelligence and really how to apply that to agriculture. And then we'll get into, if there's any other questions kind of along the lines of that, we can go there. Now I'm going to pull up the phone because what we kind of wanted to do is give you, what we want to do is kind of give you like 5 to 10 tips, advice, like big things that we learned from college. This list is very, very long in terms of things that it could be. These are kind of our top 5. So my number 5 is to be very intentional with your decisions. And what that means is don't just do things at a whim. She kind of talked about if you're interested in getting an internship in 2 years, start now. And kind of like one of my favorite stats, I know I'm pulling stats into it, but if you improve 1% every single day for a year, you end up being 3,778% better at the end of the year. So like everybody thinks like it's an overnight success and all of that. If you just take a little and improve just a little bit every day, you can really improve over a year with that. Be different and be weird. So when you're weird, you might get looked at differently. You might not have a ton of friends. You may not be the most popular people. But honestly, like when you look at history, like the weird people and the weirdos in the world, they're the ones that actually changed the world. So I don't think anybody, if you were to ask, do you want to be normal, do you want to be average, would say yes. So be different, be weird, take your chances. You have that opportunity here. So this one's like at the heart, but listen to your heart. And take time to find yourself. Like college, I can't like emphasize that enough. College is the time to find yourself. Like in high school, you're controlled completely by your parents, guardians, or a schedule. So you're in from this time to this time, and that's it. College, you find yourself. You're gonna have a lot of bad days, some really, really bad days. You're gonna have some good days. But going through that is what is gonna kind of shift you and change you for the rest of your life. So make sure you kind of find out who you are and not how other people define you or how you hope you're viewed in other people's eyes. Focus on your team. So I don't know what that is. Is that a bouncy ball? Piece of gum?
Jawbreaker?
It's a bouncy ball. Anyway, so focus on your team. So I truly believe that if you show me the 5 people you're closest to and the people you surround and spend your time with, that will determine the rest of your life and who you become. So if your friends are go-getters, achievers, people who are involved, make good grades, you're going to probably be one of those people. If all your friends play video games, nothing against video games, but that's probably what you're going to be good at. So surround yourself with people. This is the time to make lifelong friends and people who are going to be with you forever. And then ultimately, my last one and number 1 is to just do it. Yeah, I know that's a tagline from Nike, but it's true. Like we can talk about all the advice. Your teachers can talk about all of the advice. You can sit there and plan for the next 4 years, but if you don't actually go out there and do it and do something, you're going to look back and the 4 years are going to fly by and you are going to pretty much be in the same spot. So just do it. No matter what, take one piece of advice, take one initiative, take anything, and actually just do it. Because even if you do it and you make a mistake, you're better than when you were. So go on and actually do it. And then I'll pass it on to who?
My name is Nick Jackson. I am originally from the eastern part of the state. Anyone from Ashland or around Ashland area? No? Not Ashland. So I came to U of L 2009, graduated 13, studied finance and economics. And from there, I went on to University of Kentucky, went to law school, graduated a couple years ago, and I've been working for a small private trust company ever since. Makes it sound like a long time, it's been 2 years. So what I do basically, I'm a senior internal legal consultant, so I deal a lot with financial planning, wealth management, and large corporate retirement planning for large companies. May sound kind of boring, but it was a perfect way that I wanted to marry both my legal interests and the things that I really love to do in business school into one. So for me, that was a really great pairing, and it worked out great. I guess you see things you're involved in on campus? So I'll get into my top 5. Before I do that, I guess I should disclaim, this is just my opinion. It may differ from Ben, from Elizabeth, from people here in the room. It may be right for some of you, not right for others. but it certainly doesn't represent, I'm sure, the opinions of Elizabeth or College of Business or U of L as a whole. So now Elizabeth's scared of what I'm going to say. Number one, I think everyone should regularly do something outside of their comfort zone, weekly. It might not be daily, but weekly. Do something to push yourself outside your comfort zone. I have a quick story for that, little anecdote. My freshman year, my counselor encouraged me to take public speaking. I think it was CAMP100. Was that the course? Yeah. And I wanted to take every class but that. That scared me to death. I would get up when I had to speak in front of people. I would sweat and get hot and shake, and it was just anything but that sounded good to me. So I bit the bullet. I did it because I want to try something new, and older people I talked to on campus said it would be good that you would need it later down the road, so I did it. Halfway through that semester, I sat down with my teacher for like the halfway, like, how's your speech coming? So I think it was a 15-minute speech at the end of the semester, and I had nothing. I'm not a procrastinator, but I was not prepared. I was trying to avoid even thinking about the topic. And he told me, he was like, Nick, you pick something that you enjoy, something that is a hobby. It doesn't have to be something serious. It doesn't have to be global warming or world peace or anything. So I decided to pick something that I was truly superior at than I think everyone is, that I was a master in the field that I knew intimately well. And so I gave a 15-minute speech on how to prepare the best peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I brought all the materials, I did a demonstration, and I went as far as to the proper ratios, and for those wondering, I'm not a lunatic. Crunchy is the only way to go. And it went over well, but it did two things for me. One, it helped me overcome that singular fear of doing something outside my comfort zone, but two, every time I did something like that, it became easier and easier to step outside of my box, of that comfort box, and do something like that. So I thought that was really helpful, that advice that my counselor gave me, and so I'll always remember that. Do something that makes you uncomfortable. Number two, make an impression on your teachers, your faculty members. And no, that doesn't mean suck up. That doesn't mean be the person that asks 10 questions every day in class. No one likes that person. Go to their office, introduce yourself. Be like, Elizabeth, I know nothing about this class, but I'm excited to take it because I see in chapter 6 we're learning about this, and that sounds cool to me. That's it. She'll remember you. Your teachers will remember you. It doesn't have to be a suck up, and that matters down the road because you'll go to them for advice. They may write you a formal letter of recommendation, and you do need them to be on your side. So that's something that I probably didn't do very well when I was an undergrad that I wish I would have. Number three, be professional. There's a time and a place for everything, but be professional. And I know what you're thinking. I'm 18, 19 years old. The last thing I want to do, Nick, is come to college and worry about being professional all day. That's fine. I was the same way, and that's okay. But there's easy things you can do that are cheap, that require no effort, very little time, and to be honest, you can probably fake it. You can probably be insincere, and you can still pull this off. Number one, get personalized stationery. It sounds stupid. Do it. Whenever you interview someone, whenever you ask for a letter of recommendation, whenever someone does something, a dean does something super nice for you. This may sound crazy as a freshman, but you will use it. Get personalized stationery, write handwritten thank you cards when that opportunity arises. They will never forget you. No one does that anymore. This sounds like advice your grandmother will give you, and she probably did do that. But I have plenty of stories where I may have not gotten the job or not gotten something, but because of that, my resume was passed on to someone else, and I did get hired, or I did get something for that. Guys, do not cut your own hair. You're poor. I was poor as a college student. Spend $10, go get a haircut. Your sweet mate who has a wall clipper set doesn't cut your hair. Just go get a haircut. I'm not touching that with girls. You can take that for what you want. 4, grades may or may not be the most important thing you take from college. Now, I should have let off with that. I got your attention. Grades may not be the most important thing you take from college. Don't tell your parents I said that. I will deny it. You're more than your last test grade. You're more than your last class grade, and you're certainly more than your cumulative GPA. I've been fortunate enough to hire several people at my company, and I've passed up on 4.0 GPA students. I've hired someone that had several C's on her resume. It's more than just grades. If you have nothing else to fill the second half of your resume page besides your GPA, you're not doing something right. What do I mean by that? Get involved on campus. Find something that you are passionate about, something you love, and immerse yourself in it and surround yourself with it. Whether that's service work, whether that's volunteering, that's RSOs. There was like 250 RSOs when I was here 5 years ago. There's probably 1,000 now. And they always say how easy it is. If there's not one, you can always start one. That matters. That truly does matter. It builds, just like you make the same example of studying abroad, doing stuff like that, you learn just as much, if not more, outside the classroom than inside the classroom. So grades may or may not be the most important thing you take from college. Caveat, I never said you shouldn't try as hard as you can on tests, that you shouldn't be prepared, you shouldn't do your best. Just take that from what you will. 5, call your parents. Call your parents. This might apply more to guys too. We get off to college and we think we're super independent. Don't be an asshole. Call your parents. They care about you more than you'll know. They're your biggest support system. And believe it or not, they are impacted just as much from you going off to college as you are, because they're used to you being around and watching you instead of sitting at home worrying all the time. So call them once a week. Say, this has been going great. I'm struggling a little bit with this, but this is what I'm doing. I think it'll be okay. Just call them. It can be quick. I think that's 5, right? Some quick tips, specific tips. Get zip drives, back everything up. Get something to back something up. Everyone has, I feel like, a freshman or sophomore experience where they're like busting out a sociology paper at 11 p.m. because they're wanting to go out, and all of a sudden your computer crashes and nothing, it disappears and it never happened. That's the worst. Don't do that. Get a zip drive, back things up. Speaking of that, use all the free services on campus. There's free tech support, free antivirus software, free Word, free all that kind of stuff. So take advantage of all that free stuff on campus, because when you leave these scholastic halls, you will no longer get all that stuff for free. So use it now.
Hello everyone, my name is Shrag Bhamani. I graduated from U of L in 2014. I was a finance major. I minored in marketing and international studies. I'll put this down. I'm originally from New Albany, Indiana. Any Hoosiers? Okay, cool. So I came into U of L. I was undecided, didn't really know what I wanted to do. Started off in arts and sciences my freshman year. Didn't think that was really for me. Did some biology, chemistry, all that. And then I decided to switch over to the business school. And then even in the business school, I wasn't sure what major. I ultimately went towards finance because I thought it was the most versatile at the time. I had a couple internships during my undergrad career. Ultimately parlayed that into a full-time job at Brown-Forman, which is where I am now. I currently work as a financial analyst in the corporate FP&A team. FP&A is financial planning and analysis. So that includes a lot of forecasting, budgeting, fiscal planning, things like that. So Brown-Forman is headquartered here in Louisville. They are a wine and spirits company, so if you're familiar with Jack Daniels, Woodford Reserve, Early Times, that's the company behind that. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where I've been since undergrad. I'm now back at U of L doing my entrepreneurship MBA. So in the evenings I go to class. So it feels good to be back at U of L. It's been a great experience undergrad and so far in grad school. So these guys, they mostly took all of my top 5, top 10. So there's a couple things I do want to note and elaborate upon. One thing is the getting involved. Definitely get involved, on campus. So I know these guys were big into Greek life. I think you guys had on-campus jobs. I think Ben was a mentor. You were an RA, I think. So that definitely leverage those opportunities. As far as the off-campus bit, definitely look into internships, but don't underestimate the power of volunteering. Ben can definitely speak on this, but if you look at any local charity or nonprofit, check out their board of directors, and you'll see they are all higher ups, highly regarded people around town. So there's no better way than getting in front of them than volunteering at a nonprofit at which they are a board of directors at. Also, don't be afraid to leverage your network of friends, professors, family, because that's how I got my first 2 internships. So my first internship I got because I was recommended by a Business 201 advisor at the time, a teacher. So she thought of me, she saw this opening, she thought of me, she sent me an email, said, hey, you should apply for this. And I did, and I ultimately received the internship. And that was really kind of my first foot in the door into corporate America. And then my second internship, which was my first one at Brown Forman, was a result of my friend's father who worked there at the time. So a lot of this, the message is it's not really what you know, it's who you know. So keep that in mind as that's why, get the haircut, like always kind of be professional, because you never know when you're gonna run into someone that could potentially open doors for you. So that's a big key that I want you guys to take away. And then ultimately your professors, it might not seem like it, but they are very well connected, they are very well established. There's a reason why they're professors, because they're experts in their field, and they continue to have lots of connections in their field. So I remember when I was graduating, I already had something lined up at the time, but I had a professor reach out and say, hey, I have this great contact at this local company, I think you'd be a great fit, let me know if you're interested and I can connect you. And I politely declined because I had other plans, but that just goes to show you what opportunities these professors can connect you with. Also, the best way to prepare for interviews, you're all here because you want a great job after school. So the best way to prepare is by practice, and that means mock interviews, getting your resume reviewed, getting that stationery, getting those business cards. So definitely leverage the Ulmer Career Center. Those mock interviews, I think, are probably the best thing that you can probably take away from that office, because they bring in HR, at the time, I don't know if they still do, they bring in HR professionals from different companies in Louisville, and they work with you, practice, and help you get better at interviewing. Because that's really the only real way to get better at interviewing, is practicing or going through multiple interviews. And then the resume, definitely the resume review, editing. Lots of companies out here charge like $200 for a resume review, and you get that for free. So definitely take advantage of that. It makes a difference seeing a good resume versus a bad one. And then also, what was it? Resume, business cards. Oh, study abroad. I think we all study abroad. Is that right? Yeah. Kind of. And I think that was probably my #1 experience in college. I love it. I think about it almost every other day, just think about all the trips, the memories. So definitely look into that. You'd be surprised cost-wise. It's not that much different working with scholarships and financial aid. So it's not out of the question if you think it's like too expensive or too crazy or something like that. Definitely talk to Elizabeth, work with her, and she'll make it happen. She's great. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Ben.
Okay, so that's kind of like an overview of where we're coming from, and I mean, there's a lot of things that I think probably through questions you'll discover. So even if you have a question that didn't necessarily apply to like anything that we said, that's fine. But I think we're going to open it up for questions and answers, and this does not have to be purely academic. All right, so it does not have to be what is your favorite class that you took in college. That can be a question, but like we want this to be as big of a resource. Yeah. Yeah, sure. I get that. Yeah. So first of all, artificial intelligence is one of those buzzwords that gets kind of thrown around a whole lot. So the company, so we've been around for about 2.5 years. It's called AdCogni, but we have a strategic partnership with IBM and IBM Watson. So we did not build the AI, and I would not recommend necessarily, unless that is just your thing, to build AI. Partner with somebody who's already built it. But basically, our partnership is through that, and then we are trying to work with the government, Kentucky Department of Agriculture, Cattlemen's Association, and some other entities, basically to provide on two fronts. So right now, any kind of artificial intelligence, anything like that is in agriculture is normally in the machinery. So it's normally John Deere putting something on their tractor to be able to track to improve efficiency, or it's a GPS-based thing that might or may or may not actually be artificial intelligence. It's just, if there's a screen, some people like to call it artificial intelligence. So we're trying to do it from the knowledge base. So right now, everything is, and I grew up on a farm in Danville, but basically everything was like, my grandfather did it this way at this time, so this is how we're going to do that. Which might be the right way, and might be lucky, but we're trying to be able to consume all of that information to truly understand how to be the most efficient. Because if you're at all familiar with farm life, and if that is your main source of income, it is so sensitive and so dependent. And the fact that if you have one bad year, it can sink everything. So what we want to try to do, and our ultimate aim, so we have a social mission, is trying to provide the ability for a sustainable way with farming, with information sharing. So information is not just passed down, because things change, climate changes. We don't want to get into that topic, but climate does change. And having an understanding to create the sustainability in farms is really what our aim is. So we're trying to do that through multiple avenues. But right now it's a partnership with Kentucky Department of Agriculture and trying to figure out the best way to get it out, because a lot of historic older farmers are also resistant to change, and kind of our generations are still farming and are much more adaptable to that, but we don't want to, just because there is a new wave, we don't want to see that the older expertise is also gone.
So you went to law school. Did you do any internships in your undergrad knowing that you were going to be going beyond that?
Not until late.
Okay.
So I was a little bit all over the place in my internships in undergrad. So I started off, I did a summer internship, I believe after my freshman year, back home from my hometown with Merrill Lynch. It was more investment related. I then did an internship with the Kentucky Hospital Association over out in Anchorage, here in Louisville, and again, it was a finance internship. And it wasn't until actually that I studied abroad, and I studied abroad in the Netherlands, in Holland, where the world courts are held. Went on some field trips where some of the Muammar Gaddafi, Libyan dictator generals were on trial for war crimes, and I just thought it was fascinating. I thought it was super cool. And so honestly, was that my junior year? So I didn't even really get any interest to go to law school until my junior year. Did research, saw how it was very easy and possible to kind of marry both the business school and law school. I haven't always wanted to be an attorney. I wasn't a poli-sci major or anything like that. But the thing about law school is you can major in anything. We have ex-teachers, we have marketing professionals, we have everything in my law school class. So it wasn't until later in college that I really decided to do that. To elaborate a little bit. So my last internship, junior, after I got back, I worked at a big law firm downtown just as a summer. It was kind of like, I was a runner, an orderly type thing. I did small projects, but you're limited without a law degree, or not even in law school at that point, of what you could do. So honestly, I was kind of just getting my feet wet ever so slightly. And there's not a ton you can do. But if you have any sort of in with a law firm, do it, because that gives you a good taste of what you're going to experience as an attorney, and that's not for everyone. So for instance, I didn't love my summer there at that law firm, and that just encouraged me, hey, I don't want to practice law for a big firm, I want to work for a financial company, and not in a law firm. And if I hadn't have done that, then I may have made a bad choice, and kind of my career path may have gone a different way, and I would have figured out that lesson later after I graduated, if that makes sense.
So there's a reason he threw that to me. So honestly, it is a trial and error. I can give you the best advice, you can read the best books, any of us can give you the best advice. It's honestly going to be trial and error, because it's all about fitting your personality and how your mind works with that. So personally, I love my calendar. It's a great thing and a horrible thing. So I don't know what your all's kind of interaction, but I basically put everything in my calendar. And the great thing is it keeps me understanding of like mentally how to prepare for the day, of whether I'm going to have some time to work or if I'm going to be all meetings or all social. So that is kind of where it comes in, but it is also a negative because it also becomes if I don't have it in my calendar, I more than likely will forget about it. So I would watch yourself on that. But I think it's all about understanding the priorities in your life. So I can say that it is the most important thing to go to every single one of your class, and that should be your highest priority. That's up to you. I honestly put my focus on social, like not necessarily like partying and stuff, but being involved. That was my priority. Obviously, I needed to make the grades, and that was so studying became a priority, I would say. Let's be real, like if you block off time to study and you go to the library, it should be categorized as a social activity, not as a study enrichment activity. So if you actually need to study, go to a place that you actually know you're going to be able to study. But ultimately, it's understanding yourself and understanding where your goals are and understanding what your priorities are. And if you understand your priorities, like how many of you all are busy? Anybody else? All right, I hate it when people say they're busy because they're not busy. They just have decided to prioritize certain things in their life. And when you were a young kid, you were busy. When you were in high school, you were busy. Right now, you're busy. When you graduate, you're going to be busy. And you're always going to be busy, and that's fine. But when somebody says, I don't have enough time for you, well, probably not going to say that. I don't have enough time to do that. It's because it's not a high enough priority. And it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That shouldn't be. But I would say working on your calendar, understanding your priorities, understanding what balance is, what it looks like to graduate into a general job, like an entry-level job, in terms of what you need to prepare for, is a lot less than if you are going to try to become a lawyer. Because there's entrance, there's levels to that aspect. So like you're going to have to focus on studying. Now, how much time you study is different. But that is something you should prepare for. But I would say understand your calendar, understand your priorities. But the biggest thing is with time management is be efficient in your time. So like I hit on the library aspect, which is true. If you think you need an hour to study and you go to the library, you really need about 5 or 6 hours, if not more. If you go and you find a coffee shop, you're still going to get distracted probably 2 hours. But if you find a nook or if you find something that you can focus, you might actually need an hour. And if you take an hour and you're focused during that hour completely, that means your phone's not with you. You can then have 23 hours rest of the day. But if you think you're going to have 1 hour for this, it's going to take you 6 hours. You only have 18 hours. Everybody has the same 24 hours. You have the same 24 hours that Beyonce has the same 24 hours. And what she chooses to do and did is a lot more productive than probably what you're doing and what I'm doing. So I would say it's a combination, but really figuring out, taking chances. If you're too busy to do something because of your schedule, you're going to basically hold yourself back.
I want to add to that. Figure out how you best study. He kind of alluded to it, but everyone studies different. How you study compared to how Katie studies is completely different, and I didn't learn how I best retain information until late in college, arguably maybe even first year of law school. Whether you're an auditory learner, you're visual, kinesthetic, like there is a right answer, and that will dictate on how many hours you need to get through X amount of chapters and pages when you're studying for a test. And the sooner you figure that out, which will come through trial and error and study, the more time you will save throughout your college career by not having to figure that out in inefficient study. I couldn't tell you how many hours I wasted retyping and rewriting notes. That does nothing for me. I have to reread and visually see it. And the sooner you guys learn that, probably the better.
I agree with what they said. I just want to add, don't procrastinate. Procrastinating will kill you. I think what you should do is the calendar is a great tip. List all your due dates, all your major items there, and try to back into that date. How much time do you need to complete that? And break things off into chunks. So don't try to do a 10-page paper in one sitting in one go. That's just not fun. So try to do a little bit each day. That will kind of help you not feel like you're overwhelmed. It'll help you balance all the different things you have going on, because if you think that things will slow down after you graduate, you're wrong. Things only pick up. You get busier and busier, even though Ben hates that word. You have more things going on, you know, whether it's at work, with family, outside of work, hobbies, whatever it may be. So time management is a huge skill. It's a soft skill that you need to pick up and learn while you're in college, because college is the time you want to kind of experiment, test what's working for you, what doesn't, because you don't want to get too far along and you know, be stuck. So, so definitely, you know, things like time management, working in teams, communication, those type of soft skills that the classes necessarily don't teach you. Those are things that you should be working on, thinking critically. Those things are things you want to work on and improve before you get out into the real world.
There you go.
So how long after you graduated do you have your MBA and you're working on an MBA? So how long did you wait to go get your MBA? And then like how did you know that was the right time?
Yeah, so I graduated in May 2014, and then I started this fall 2018, so a little over 4 years. At the time, I kind of kept putting it off. It was something I wanted to do. It was one of my long-term goals, but I kept putting it off because I was so busy at work. I thought I had to have projects, and the thing is, with the entrepreneurship MBA program, you're kind of stuck with your cohort. You can't go at your own pace. You can't pick up classes, drop classes, and adjust. Once you're committed, you're committed. So for me, I had to kind of look in the mirror and say, yes, I'm 100% committed to you know, sticking it out the next 20 months. So I think one thing I would recommend is take your GMAT, even if you don't have immediate plans to go on, because those scores are good for 5 years, I think. So it's a lot easier to study when you're kind of in that college setting rather than once you're a couple years out, because studying for that GMAT was the most painful thing ever. I hated it. So do that now, save those scores for about 5 years, and then you can use that if you do decide to apply within the 5 years. But as far as timing, it depends, because you know, sometimes the good thing about doing it after is your company might pay for it, but then you have to balance work and school, which is pretty tough. But if you do it right after undergrad, you know, you'll have all the time dedicated. You can pick up paid internships through the program. So there's pros and cons both ways. I'm not saying one's perfect. It kind of just varies, depends on your situation. So definitely take everything into consideration. Find the program that's right for you. There's some programs around that are more catered to, you know, those that are very busy in their lives. They need that flexibility, and some that aren't. And then some that are more hands-on, some that are more your traditional lectures. So you got to do your homework in terms of what program's right for you.
Just to clarify on the busyness thing, my pet peeve is when you like walk up and say, hey, like how's life? And they say, you know, busy, because like everybody says that. But specifically to answer the question, like that, the GMAT thing is a huge thing. Like that's what Nick came and said, like reteaching yourself like algebra 2 and geometry, like 6 years after you've taken it is not fun and very hard. But yeah, so for me it was 2 years. So, well, yeah, kind of. So when I graduated from undergrad, and then between graduating from undergrad and my start was 2 years. So I think that's like the recommended, but I don't even know why that's the recommended. So I think that it depends on the program, kind of what he was saying. If you graduate and then you just don't have an understanding of what you want to do, you know, something with business, U of L has a great like full-time 13-month program that you can go straight into, and I think that it's built for that. The professional program, I think, is a little bit more for, you know, have a couple years of work, you know, it can be internships, it doesn't have to be a full-time job, and do that. The reason that I did it when I did it is I just had a scholarship opportunity that came up at the right time, and I was just like, all right, let's go. I couldn't really pass it up, but I definitely knew I wanted to get an MBA, for whether it's a checkbox or not, that's debatable. But I think it was just the right time, and just felt the right time, similar to what he kind of said. But I think it's more based on the program. So like I wouldn't if you have a full-time job and you've been working for a couple years, the full-time program is probably not the best thing. But if you don't have a job lined up, you don't know what your next step is, it's great because the full-time program has an internship involved with it. Entrepreneurship, I think you all have kind of a variety of, yeah, so that's good. And I mean, there's an executive MBA that some offer that you probably need like 10, 15 years. So don't even really look at that. Right out of college, you're gonna get rejected. But biggest piece of advice, go on and take GMAT, as soon as you can. Because what it also does is it has that 5 years of limitation. So if you are kind of putting it off and say, I'll do it next year, life's too hard, when that 5-year comes and you know you're gonna have to retake it, you'll be more willing to go in and enroll in a program. Crickets. Next person that moves has a question. Right there in the back. Dustin. He's not listening. Come on. Do you all have any questions for each other? Okay, so now your teacher is leaving. So let's see if that works. She's standing outside, so don't try to leave. Yeah. Trey! That's a great question.
Because I'm not a lunatic.
No.
It provides substance, texture. Creamy gets caught in your throat. You can't.
Cut your teeth.
No. Brush your teeth.
No, but it's still while you're eating it.
So I actually toast my bread for 25 seconds because because otherwise your jelly will soak through and ruin your sandwich. You need about a 70 to 30 peanut butter and jelly to jelly ratio, and that tends not to dry your mouth out too much. Any other dumb questions? Thanks, Trey.
Hey, team creamy. Yeah.
That actually is a good question. I put so much thought into it for that project because that took my mind off the 40 people that I was talking to. Because that was something for me to focus on, and instead of worrying and being nervous, instead I was doing something easy that I've done hundreds of times throughout my entire life. Why I've done it up until that point, I have no idea. Just monkeying with it. But for that specific project, it was perfect because I didn't see any of you out there in the room. I was sitting there doing something, a process I've done a million times before. So, it's a good question. Oh, huge fan. You're going places. Do you think Greek life is beneficial? Different for everyone. Go to Rush. I still think it's every semester. Recruitment. Go to recruitment. I know people, and I was in Greek life, and to this day, I may have just as many friends who did not do Greek life that did. It's not mandatory. It's not for everyone. I suggest you go out there, see what it's about. You'll know if it's right. I think it's 2 or 3 days long. But it's kind of one of those things that you just need to go do. I think it provides a lot of great opportunities. Whether I did it for the right reasons at the beginning, I'm not sure, but it ended up being a really good thing for me. But it's different for everybody. I'm sorry, that's kind of a scapegoat answer, but it really is different for everyone. But I think it's worth your while going in and checking it out for sure.
Can I qualify what when you say worth it? So like what are you giving? What is like your sensitivity? Is it time? Is it okay? So yeah. So I mean I'm biased. I'll go and call that out. So yeah, I completely agree with Nick in terms of it is not like for everyone, and that is completely fine and not. I think that there are a lot of benefits in terms of the networking afterwards. Being connected to something bigger than you, I think was impactful for me, and stuff like that. But I did not have the experience where it isolated me into like, this is your clique. I had that opportunity, I would say, but it did not isolate me. Because, like, for example, me and Nick lived together our senior year, and it was 2 from one chapter, 3 different fraternities, and you can only imagine the parties. But but it doesn't define you, and it should not ever define you. It does give you opportunities. But yeah, I would say definitely go to recruitment, have that opportunity. The worst thing that you're gonna deal with, at least on the guy side, is you're gonna have to eat some free food. Like, come on. But I think that it's an opportunity that has such a stereotype that people who would be great and would change that stereotype don't get involved. So at least check it out, take the chance. Like I said, not for everyone. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I personally think it's worth it, but I'm super biased.
One more quick note, something that because I was Greek that it helped me do, otherwise I wouldn't be able to do. So I actually ran for college of business student body president, won, and I was 4,500 miles away studying abroad. I was never here. And that doesn't mean that like they helped me cheat. What is it? Yeah, I was never here that entire semester. The election, right, campaign. Not because it was cheating or anything like that, but I was able to help get my voice out, create my platform, had people who believed in what I stood for go out and market for me and talk to people. And I was in Holland studying for 6 months, yet I was still able to win the student government position. And without that, it'd be pretty tough. It would be. But again, go give it a shot. That's the best thing I can tell you. You'll know. And I agree with that. It's more than just the stereotypes. Don't want that to be away. So yeah. First semester it was trash. And my dad said if I didn't get it up, I was coming back to Ashland. So that motivated me a lot. I think I graduated like a 3.6. It got better every semester after that.
So, I mean, little sister, I was a math major. Okay. So, but I graduated at 3.3. Yeah, 3.3, and then.
I had a 3.5, so right between those two. So GPA is not everything though. So the resume, make sure you get plenty of experience to kind of offset maybe a lower GPA. I don't know the last time I was asked what my GPA was at work.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think it's your foot in the door when you get that, like maybe that first internship or maybe the first job out of college. But after that, no one cares.
Prerequisite, but after that, once you're in, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Then
It's like now someone asking you your ACT. If you're all here, it doesn't matter. Well, why'd you take those classes? Are they mandatory or the gen eds?
Are you talking about this class?
Yeah, Elizabeth's not here. So is that business electives thing?
Yeah. So I truly believe that you can learn anything at any point as long as your mind's there. And I know that's like a motivational speaker thing. But like one of the common questions that we normally get in this is like, what is your favorite class? So, and I think Nick's gonna probably agree with me since we talked about this before, but like my favorite class was Honors World Religion. I took it because I had to have the CD credit, and I never thought I would like it, but I learned so much in that class. Granted, our teacher was pretty awesome too. But you can learn everything, and the great thing with business is it applies across the field. So like, yes, we're all either have a finance background or finance degree to some degree, but the things that we learned in that class, I have to apply marketing and management and leadership and things that I learned from all other classes to my job. So it is not like you are going to go into, there's maybe some jobs, but like you're not going to, even if you are in accounting, in accounting, and you are going to be a CPA, yes, a lot of it is going to be what you learned in the actual thing, but you're going to have interpersonal skills. You're going to have that. So there's an opportunity, even in the classes you don't like, to be able to learn things to apply. But it's all your mindset. So if you go in, my freshman year, I went into classes and be like, I hate that class. I hate that teacher. I hate this topic. Why am I here? So like that was like English 101, 102. Like why? Like it was bad. But I still was able to develop stuff in that class.
If you know you have to take a subject that you may not love, if for some reason you're mandated to do it, look up the teachers and do some research, talk to your friends, and find out what's like the go-to teacher for that. Who's the stud teacher? I know Barry still teaches. Barry Hayward still teaches here. Does anyone have Barry? Yeah, I like Barry. Barry's cool. He was a great teacher. But if you have any flexibility, you just do a tiny bit of research. There's probably still websites out there that like great professors. I don't know if I would recommend that, but just do a little research and find out, because that can make or break your experience as well. And I'm not a marketing person, but I did a little research and found a good marketing teacher, and it made all the difference in the world. And it made me interested a lot.
Hey, what time to talk it out? I don't know. See, I know you all.
Keep on the sword. As soon as Elizabeth
All
comes
right,
back.
how about one more good question, and we'll call it.
Strawberry. What do you mean? What's on there? Oh, okay.
So I never had to do these. This is totally a Nick thing. It's like usually the conversation. And this started when we came back to play a God and the Q&A panels that you'll see in this and things like that. I keep saying, Nick, there's not a single question anybody can ask on photography or anything like that. And he's like, he's always been a big proponent of it.
We had more peanut butter and jelly
Okay, but here's the question. You put it on two separate girls or you stick with Definitely. This was a conversation this morning on talk radio. Do you put the peanut butter and put the jelly right on the peanut butter, or do you put the peanut butter on one side of bread and jelly on the other end?
Then you contaminate all the materials.
That's my feeling.
You contaminate all the materials.
I did not realize peanut butter and jelly made
So should I ask them? Should I have them right on there with the favorite sandwiches?
So here's what they want to know if you're trying to answer.
Hey guys.
Do you like crunchy peanut butter or creamy peanut butter? And if you're allergic to nuts, what's your favorite sandwich?
It's a hot dog and sandwich.
And is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
So, real quick, we have to do a survey for first year initiatives, so please bring your computers next week. We will do that the first few minutes of class, and then we will put them away. Thank you. Have a great weekend.